All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And this video is not for any monetary gain. It is explicitly for the reasons stipulated in the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107.
We know the American Horror Story of the lynching of 15-year-old Emmett Till in 1955. But most don't know the same thing happened 11 years prior to a black boy in Live Oak, Florida. Let me tell you about it. I'm the young black mayor, your #1 history influencer. On January 2nd, 1944, 3 white men abducted and lynched 15-year-old Willie James Howard with his father present. Willie worked as a delivery boy at a Live Oak department store. He had given Christmas cards to his female co-workers. He had a crush on one girl in particular named Cynthia Goff. She was 17. Cynthia wasn't happy about receiving a card, and Willie heard about it, so he wrote her a letter. It explained his admiration towards her and how he wished they lived up north. In the letter, he asked her not to tell anyone, but her father, Alex P. Goff, a former state representative, saw it anyway. Him, Reginald H. Scott Sr., and Selden B. McCullers took Willie from his mother at home at gunpoint. They picked up Willie's father from his job and drove them to a bluff in Sulphur Springs along the Suwannee River. Willie's hands and feet were tied. He was given the option to be shot or jump in the river. James Howard told his son goodbye, and Willie jumped to his death. The men told the sheriff their version of the story and were never charged for kidnapping or murder. James Howard and his family fled Live Oaks 3 days later. They never received justice for Willie. To stay up on your hidden history, lock in with me. Truly your #1 history influencer.
During Christmas, 1943, 15-year-old Willie Howard sent cards to all of his coworkers at the Van Priest Dime Store in Live Oak, Florida. Unlike the other cards, Willie's card to Cynthia Goff, a white coworker, confessed a crush. His greeting expressed hope that white people would someday love black people and concluded, quote, "I love your name, I love your voice, for a sweetheart, you are my choice," unquote. After reading the card, Cynthia's father, Phil Goff, found out where Willie lived on January 2nd, 1944, and brought 2 friends to the Howard home, demanding to see Willie. Despite his mother's pleading, the men dragged Willie away and then kidnapped Willie's father, James Howard, from work. The men drove the 2 Howards to the embankment of the Suwannee River, bound Willie's hands and feet, stood him at the edge of the water, and told him to either jump or be shot. Willie jumped into the cold water below and drowned, while his father was forced to watch at gunpoint, and then threatened. Willie's dead body was pulled from the river the next day. Goff and his accomplices later admitted to the local sheriff that they took Willie to the river to punish him, but claimed the teen had become hysterical and jumped into the water unprovoked at the thought of being whipped by his father. Fearful for his own life and the other members of his family, James Howard signed a statement supporting Goff's account, and then he and his family fled Live Oak 3 days later.
All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone. We're here to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the 4 corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, today is yet another installment in our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. Today's topic is coming from one of our notable websites that we use for these lessons called EJI, which is Equality Justice Initiative. And today's subject is going to be about the 15-year-old boy lynched in Florida for sending a love note. All right, and you know, this is one of those things that, you know, hey, that just happen regularly during this time of Reconstruction. You know, this is something that actually happened 11 years before the Emmett Till situation. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and get to the opening scripture.
Yeah. Obadiah verse 10 says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever."
God, and that's our opening scripture for each one of these lessons, because it's continually covering the perpetual hatred and violence that Esau Edom, who is the wicked and the so-called white man, according to Malachi 1 and 4, that he has inflicted on us since being on the soil. All right, it said his shame is going to cover him. And what is his shame? All of his history is being revealed for what he has done. And these are the things that we do know. I believe this is our 171st video today, and that's barely scratching the surface of what this devil has done, both physically and legislatively. Okay, it says that his shame is going to cover him, and they know it. You know, you just had J.D. Vance, the VP, put out this decree that Americans should no longer have to apologize for being white. Well, you know the thing is, that's where you know that you're guilty. You know what you did. You know what your history is, and now it's coming back to bite you. All right, in a big way. All right, and it's, like I said, that shame is starting to cover you now. And after that, it said you shall be cut off forever. All right, the clock is ticking on you all right now. Deuteronomy 30 and 7 is happening right now. The curses are starting to lift off of Jacob. We're still under him, but they're starting to transfer to you, and we can see it. All right, and ultimately, you know, when we get those new bodies, you know, and the law, statutes, and commandments on our animal parts, you know, you're going to do that 1,000 years of slavery, you know, twice as long and twice as hard as we did. And then after that, you know, you're going to be cut off forever. You will never exist again as a people. The world is tired of you. The animals are tired of you. All right? This place is suffering because of your rulership. All right? And you don't want to face it. That's why you're saying you no longer have to apologize. But don't want your apology. You know? It's that true reparations for you is that bloodshed, according to Numbers 35 and 33.
Yeah, please,
Go ahead.
This is Psalms chapter 6, verse 9 and 10 is the point. It says, the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, have heard my supplication, and the Lord will receive my prayer. Let all my enemies be ashamed and sore vexed. Let them return and be ashamed suddenly. So just kind of going, you know, how it says, shame shall cover thee. Now we're at the point where the prophets, the Lord's given the understanding, you know, back to the true men of Israel, and the prophets are preaching, and Esau is being uncovered.
Yep.
And through that, you know, through our, you know, prayers, like it says, prayers of a righteous man availeth much. You know, the Lord is hearing, you know, our prayers, and He's hearing our, you know, our supplication, you know, videos and things that we're doing, and of course, everything is thus said the Lord. So everything that we're speaking, the Lord said that His word won't come back to Him void. So now we're in a place that we're speaking the oracles of the Heavenly Father. Thus said the Lord, and He's going to make good on everything in which we speak. All right, so we're in that time where, again, shame is covering Esau Edom, and like the brother said, the curses are now we see this transition of the curses falling upon the enemy. Go ahead.
So Ezekiel 35 and 5, it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. All right, so a bloodshed is gonna be, all right, the reward, all right, for your wickedness, man, for your bloodshed. All right, the things that you did unto the nation Israel has to be returned unto you, man. All right. Hey, the scriptures tell you in Numbers 35 that that's the only way that this land can be cleansed was by the blood of him that shed it, man. All right, and that's what you do, man. You shed blood wherever you go. All right, on this earth, there's some type of death and destruction that follows, man. All right, and the story that we're about to get into shows it that you have not hated blood, man. All right, Esau is like a shark in the water, man. All right, once they smell that blood, hey, they go into a rage, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, hey, these things, hey, that we bring in and week out, man, is just examples of the things that you've done to the children of Israel, man.
John.
All right. But hey, soon come. All right, your wickedness is gonna be you're gonna have to pay for that, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're gonna this place that your so-called kingdom is gonna be destroyed, man, and you're going into slavery, man.
Precept.
All right. That was all.
Okay. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 21, verse 16, and it reads, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, will he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." And we see that right now. You know, Jeremiah 15:33 says Judah and Israel were oppressed together in Babylon. Okay? And you know it's not talking about the Neo-Babylon, because only Judah, the southern kingdom, was in the Babylonian captivity. You know, the northern kingdom was in the Assyrian and on their way here. Okay? After being deported. All right? So yeah, Judah being the southern kingdom of Israel, and Israel, Judah and Israel being the northern kingdom. All right? He said, "He be found in his hand," and that's where we are right now. "He shall surely be put to death." And you know, you have the silent slavery that's going on. It's called trafficking. That's what you're doing. Okay, with Jake, and all that's being exposed with these files. Okay, that they heavily redacted. But we know what's happening, and the leader of the so-called free world right now is at the front of it. All right, just call it out for what it is. You know. So that's, hey, you know, you're going to be put to death. Just like you said in Numbers 35:33. You know, you have to be put away. The world is tired of it. All right, anybody got anything? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get into the article. We'll put a link to this article in the description box. Like I said, it's on the screen. And it starts off on January 2nd, 1944. 15-year-old Willie James Howard, a black boy, was kidnapped and lynched by 3 white men in Suwannee County, Florida, after being accused of sending a love note to the daughter of one of the men. Accused. Okay. It says, during Christmas 1943, Willie Howard sent cards to all of his co-workers at the Van Priest dime store in Live Oak, Florida. Unlike the other cards, Willie's card to Cynthia Goff, a white store employee, revealed a youthful crush. His greeting expressed hope that white people would someday like black people, and concluded, "I love your name, I love your voice. For a sweetheart, you are my choice." Last precept. This is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 25 and 21, and it reads, "Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure." So that Jake didn't understand the environment that he was in. You know, just because we were, you know, just less than 100 years removed from the freedom of the slaves, these people still hated us. Still hate us to this day, as you read in Ezekiel 35:5-6. All right, and it was taboo. They did not want their women mixing with us. Esau has always been afraid of that. He's afraid of that right now. You know, that's one of the things that, you know, they're putting out, that, you know, they're going to disappear. Well, you know, the Lord said he's going to disappear pretty much anyway. You know, to start out, he said, you know, Obadiah, same chapter he started, man, said he's going to make you small amongst the heathen. You know, that's not only insignificant in your weak stature, but also insignificant in numbers. Okay? And you're going to be greatly despised. That's where we are right now. People sick of your shit. All right? So, yeah, this Jake, you know, he didn't quite understand the magnitude of what he did, because, you know, he felt the lady was attractive. And it, you know, eventually cost him his life. All right? Back to the article. it says, after reading the card, Cynthia's father, Phil Goff, brought two friends to the Howard home and demanded to see Willie. Despite his mother's pleading, the men dragged Willie away and then kidnapped Willie's father, James Howard, from work. The men drove the two Howards to the embankment of the Suwannee River, bound Willie's hands and feet, stood him at the edge of the water, and told him to either jump or be shot. Willie jumped into the cold water below and drowned, while his father was forced to watch at gunpoint. Willie's dead body was pulled from the river the next day. Goff and his accomplices later admitted to the local sheriff that they took Willie to the river to punish him, but claimed the teen had become hysterical and jumped into the water unprovoked at the thought of being whipped by his father. Fearful for his own life and the other members of the family, James Howard signed a statement supporting Goff's account. He and his family fled Live Oak 3 days later, and then shared the story of Willie's lynching. All right.
Right, and this is the type of stuff that Esau, they was getting away with, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they obviously, man, they lynched him, and then turned around and say he did it to himself, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of stuff that Esau gets away with, man. Even to this day, man, they can get away with some shit like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Precept.
More so with this AI too.
Yep. Hey, man, Esau gotta pay, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. I had a precept too. Go ahead.
Yep. This is just to back you up. This is Psalms chapter 10 and verse 8. It says, "He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor." Verse 9, "He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net." You know, and you know, in this society, man, you know, Esau, he doesn't want, you know, Jake getting with his daughters, man. You know, so he'll, you know, and Esau, Edom having that perpetual hatred, you know, that pure everlasting hatred, you know, for Jacob, man. You know, he'll straight up, you know, lure Jake into death, man. All right, here, because this is Esau, Edom's world, man. Jacob is the prey, you know, here on this side, man. You know, Esau is in that spirit of a predator, you know, to you know, put our people to death, man. You know, here in this kingdom, man. You know.
Okay, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verses 1 and 2. Verse 1, it says, "Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness." And that's exactly what happened. You know, we read the account that they kidnapped this kid, you know, bound his hands and feet, you know, and then went to his father's job and kidnapped him, all right, so he could watch, all right. They told him to either, he had a choice of either jumping or being shot, all right, so the kid jumped. And then the false report was saying that, you know, he feared his father was going to whoop him for what he did, all right, and that's exactly what they did, you know, an unrighteous witness, along with those other guys, you know, and the sheriff, you know, the sheriff was going to believe it. They weren't going to do anything. This is the time that we were in. You know, we've seen on numerous accounts where the sheriffs have done nothing. Actually, they actively participate in it. You know, once they would say, well, the mob took over the jail. No, you gave him the key and you let him in, man. That's all to it. You know, that lie doesn't work anymore. You've been using the same playbook, you know, the whole time. Verse 2, it says, "Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to rest judgment." And that's just what the other guys did. Those who were along with the girl's father. Okay, you join in on that stuff. All right, you knew what the real reason was. You didn't want him talking to your daughter. You know, you didn't have to kill him, but you did. You know, that was just his judgment. You know, like the scriptures say. Was that Job 4:7? No one perishes being innocent. You know, so yeah. But once again, like you said, you know, Esau's going to have to pay for this. All right. Anybody got anything else? Okay. All right. So yeah, that's the story. You know, another account of Esau's wickedness, just because you know he is the wicked. You know, lied on this kid's father, had him sign a false affidavit. The affidavit is included in this article. Actually, it's embedded in this article, and I will put a link to this article in the description box. All right, so with that, we hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, we're going to give all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Achaean who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird. To you we say shalom.
Shalom.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
Abba Babal.
Abba Babal.
We got next. Shalom.
Shalom.